and good morning, everybody. Time now is 7:30, right on the dot. Turning on my other light. It is time for Biscuits and Jam. We've got Jeremy Noble on this morning. Looking forward to talking to him and getting to hear about his music, people he's worked with, and things like that. So we'll wait till he joins in and we'll get this party started. In the meantime, instead of doing my normal badges today, I thought I would do a fundraiser for the American Red Cross. As you know, the tornadoes that came through Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, killed a lot of people, damaged a lot of homes and businesses. The stuff in Mayfield, Kentucky is almost just unbelievable. It takes me back to, April 27th, 2011 in Birmingham, where we just or in Tuscaloosa and in Birmingham, through Cahaba Heights and up and through Pleasant Grove, and you just think of what those people went through, losing family members, and it just breaks your heart. So if you do have it within your heart and you would like to donate, this fundraiser goes directly back towards the American Red Cross, and they will be delivering the funds to the cities and the communities that need them most. So if you got in your heart the season of giving, and honestly, this is the worst time for something. There's never a good time for this, but just the worst time because, Christmas is 12 days away, and, right? Yep, 12 days away, and the saddest part with the candle factory, they were working overnight to do all of the orders for Christmas, so it's kind of crazy, and it takes us back to April 27th, 2011, May 12th of 2011 also, where Moore, Oklahoma, I will never forget that either. And then 2013, that was 2013. Yeah, Joplin was 2011, and then you had Moore in 2013. So, it's wild to me that I've got Good Morning America up here on my right-hand side, and it's just the images just takes you back to where you were. Also March 3rd, for those of you here in Tennessee. I wasn't here yet, but obviously we had tornadoes that morning too here in Birmingham, Alabama, that I was covering. So it was just wild. And then the fact that, it was just a county outside of our viewing area, which is even more wild and so scary. Busy. Big props to Danielle and Mary. They were on all night long. And then Davis came in later that day as well. So good morning to everybody. Whoever, I don't know who donated. Let me see. Thank you, Akimi and Jonathan, both donating $10 to the American Red Cross this morning. So appreciate that. And of course, these funds go directly back to the American Red Cross. They don't come to me. The badges come to me, and then I allocate them to my nonprofit. But this is great. So I'm going to bring in Jeremy Noble, and we'll get talking to him here and see what he's been up to. Let's see. Well, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
First things first, roll Tide.
Roll Tide. I am
okay.
Happy. I didn't get to watch the Heisman Trophy, but I had to watch the replay, and
right.
I was excited. It was
right. Don't you feel like you earned it?
Oh my gosh. I didn't think. Look, I'm an Atlanta Braves fan.
Me too.
And let me tell you, after the roller coaster of emotions that was Atlanta's season.
Mm-hmm. It feels good. I am a little nervous heading into the next couple weeks and months. You never know, because I went to the University of Alabama, and I'm a big Bama fan, almost to the point of obnoxious, because I did grow up in Georgia, and all those UGA fans that I went to high school with were, texting me days before, talking smack, and I said, okay, you know what, you're probably right. And then it just feels so good to send them a nasty message back.
I got a ton. There's a local radio station in Gadsden, and one of the guys is an Auburn fan, and he started Sports Talks thing, and we talk every day. And me and him have been in it. He is like, I looked at him, I said, "You're going to be a Georgia fan this week, aren't you?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm. No, I know. So my boyfriend is actually an Auburn fan, and we manage. We just don't talk about it. We didn't watch the Iron Bowl together because at the end of the day, someone was probably not going to be happy, and it turned out to be him. Thank God. Thank God. I couldn't have dealt with that for a whole year. I could not have dealt with that. But anyways, I saw that on your Instagram, and I was like it. And then also, Casey Miller is one of my good friends. He said that y'all went to high school together, and your nickname is Noodle.
Oh God. Yeah, I got that nickname in fifth grade. Uh,
How? Did you go noodling with the fish?
no, I was just skinny.
Really?
I've put on a little weight up. My high school coach uh, told me he seen me after one day and he said, why could you not put this weight on when you were in school? And I looked at him, I said, thanks for calling me fat now, coach.
No, he messaged me last night and was like, "Oh my God, I went to high school with him." I was like, "That's wild. Small
That's
world,
great.
right?" He was my good friends when I lived in Birmingham for the past like 6 years. So if you're up in Gadsden, been up there quite a bit. Spent a lot of time up there, up through Rainbow City, and love it.
I moved, so I went to Etowah High School.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and so Etowah County, people don't realize how, um, the connections it has to Nashville. I mean,
Mhm.
you got them Dirty Roses that come out of Southside. You got
Mhm.
Green that came from Hokes Bluff. No, or he came from Jacksonville. He's a Calhoun County guy, but he played in Gadsden all the time. And you had Drake White from Hokes Bluff.
Mhm.
Yellow Wolf was from Gadsden. So I'm just trying to get in there with these musicians that everybody knows from Etowah County and be one of them one day.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about your little journey in the music industry. How'd you get started in it?
Oh, at I got started around 4 or 5 years old. That's where I got hooked. My dad, he raised me right. He raised me on Hank Jr., uh, Allman Brothers, all that type stuff, and he took me to shows. My first concert was when I was 5 years old. Was Hank Williams Jr. And Hank Williams Jr. in '85, um, '83, '84. That was a wild show for a 5 year old to be at. And but we got my dad become friends with Merle Kilgore
Mhm.
and built a black powder gun for Hank for hunting, and so I got to sing with Hank when I was 5.
Wow.
I just remember I can tell folks that I knew what Jim Beam smelled and tasted like. Uh, but that got me hooked. I mean, that not on Jim Beam, but
Well, probably, but here nor there. So tell me, so like you guess you started at 4 or 5 years old doing all that, and then you kind of have moved into adulthood, and
kind
yeah, unfortunately we all are, ugh, and like progressing and stuff like that. So what has your music career been like since then? Do you do it full time? Do you write full time?
so I had a job at the first of the year from mid last year to first of the year because of the pandemic. I went and took a job, and then sometime around July I quit that job because I wanted to go full time. Um, so right now I work with a guy out of Nashville there, Sean Rivers, who's from Fort Payne, Alabama, where he
Oh
lives.
yeah.
And he does a thing called Nashville Talent Community, and me and him have been working. But I started working with Rock and Roll Basement. That's Justin Johnson, and he's originally from Jacksonville, Alabama. Like I said, Alabama's taking over Nashville.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I moved here and I'm taking it over. Well, not really, but you know what I mean.
But it's been an experience because I've had these guys that have sort of the similar past that I've had, and they're there. And one of them told me one day, he said, "It's like you live here, but you don't." He said, "Because you
Hmm.
all the important stuff." He said, "You know you come in and you do the mingling and the play, you know what to do." And he said, "You don't come off in fake. You come in and uh, you're real with people, and that's really to me what I've seen is, well, that's how you build relationships, and that's how you do these co-writes and how you do these things. You have to be able to like the person and be friends with people. um, I've seen a lot of folks not be that way, and they don't last long in Nashville when they do that type of thing.
Yeah, no, I've met only one guy that's in the music industry that was not so friendly, and I was like, I'm the one that listens to your music. Like, you got to be nice to people. You never know. And I also tell a lot of people who I've talked to, gosh, 180 plus interviews over the past year and a half with this, and the ones that hate on Broadway or like playing on Broadway, I'm like, y'all don't know who's sitting in that audience, and you never know who could pop in and who could be watching this, or who, I mean, you just really never know. And I think that, like, you know, we get so much further with being kind to people than being ugly, and more people need to hear that.
I had a great, and I won't mention the buddy's name who did this, because just to save him some grief. But we were at a thing with a bunch of songwriters, and we were sitting there talking, and this is years ago. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking about the song "Honky Tonk Badonka Donk." Mm-hmm. He just as he's standing there, he just looks and he goes, "That's the most terrible song I've ever heard in my life. That is just, it's horrible." Well, right, I mean, the moment he said it, the lady looked at him. She said, "Hey, if I introduce you to Jamie Johnson?" And Jamie is just standing there looking at him, laughing, and after that was when I stopped. I was like, I've learned a valuable lesson off of this. Never, if you don't like a song, don't say you don't like it, because that guy might be standing there talking to you at the moment.
Yeah, that writer is probably in the room, and if they didn't write it, they know the writer. I mean, I found just by even doing this show that I created, the amount of y'all that are connected to each other is insane.
I saw Aaron Vance was on here, and me and Aaron are buddies.
He was such a cool dude.
Me and him, see, and here's the thing about it, me and him, a mutual friend of ours, hung out with me one night, hung out with him the next night, sent me a message and goes, "You've got to hang out with this guy." He said, you're going to become best friends. So he then called him and said, "Hey, you want to go out and grab some dinner?" And we all hung out. And I mean, the moment we met each other, we've been buddies ever since. So.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Like, no, so Aaron, he was on, I can't remember if I found him or if I think he DM'd me and like asked to get on. And then his other friend, who's an Irish singer, yeah, she jumped on, and then, oh, he's in here right now. And then, you know, you found me. I mean, it's just like, this world is so small. And Aaron, thanks for joining in and watching this morning.
And Claire is a friend because me and her know each other through, and what's weird is that her and Aaron were friends, and we've not ever all hung out together. We've never been in the same place together, but me and her are friends from the Josie Music Awards. And so I met her through that. And that's just, it's so weird. You can go out and be away and then come back and then realize you have mutual friends. I like finding out about mutual friends personally rather than looking at Facebook and saying, "Oh, we're friends with this."
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, it's wild. You and I have a mutual friend, Casey Miller. You know, it's just crazy. And I'm sure, I mean, I lived in Alabama from the time I was, 18 to 30. So I'm sure that I'm sure we have more than just one mutual friend.
Sure, if you were in Birmingham a lot,
I worked at 3340 with Spann.
Yes.
6 years, yeah.
Look, James Spann is I was in Houston. We were in Texas, McAllen, Texas.
Yeah.
Over the border, we were doing a mission trip, building an orphanage there, and I turned on the radio while we were in Mexico, and he was on the radio doing the weather, and I just looked and I was like, "Where?"
So when I first started at 3340 back in 2013, 14, this story's quick. I overheard him doing he was doing radio. He does radio for like 50 or 60 other radio stations across the country. And he said something about, but I didn't know that at the time. And he said something about, it's about to be 90 degrees or whatever. And I'm looking at my forecast and I was like, what am I seeing that he is, why am I so off? Cause it was like the middle of winter or something. And I'm just like, am I doing this wrong? So I walk in his office. I was like, hey, this may be dumb, but like, I'm forecasting like 70s, 60s. Like, where are you getting 90s? He's like, Meaghan, I'm doing radio for like New Mexico or something. And I was like, oh my God. The man is everywhere. I worked with him. Not only was I his intern, but I was also his weekend met and then his morning met for 6 years. So I learned a lot from the man. He's definitely taught me who I am as a meteorologist and a work ethic. And I mean, it's just wild, but here nor there. I don't want to run out of time because I want to talk about you. So let's go ahead and jump into what have you been working on and what are you looking forward to doing?
So we are finally, 5 years in the making. Going to put out an EP.
Woo!
Finally have enough songs to do it. We've had the songs, but we just really didn't. But I went out and I'm horrible at writing something and sitting on it. So I get out and I play these writers rounds. I'm doing one tonight at Cabana Taps for Dave Finley. So I'll be there, and then I'll be at Neighbors in Sylvan Park this next Tuesday.
Love that place.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love both of them. But that's where most folks have been able to hear my stuff, and because I only have one song on Spotify or on streaming at all, and it's part of
I couldn't find
it. You have to look up Rock and Roll Basement. And
okay.
It's there. It's called Demons. But we've been sitting on that because I don't want to put something. I don't want to put something terrible out. I don't want to put, I don't want to be that guy where I put something out and everybody's just like, oh, you should have waited and worked on that a little bit or something. Mm-hmm. But a lot of that has to do with me getting in my own head. And that's what I finally, oddly enough, the pandemic helped me with that. I started to understand mental health issues a whole lot more, started looking into them a whole lot more during the pandemic. And that was one thing that I saw and started to learn about myself was I was getting in my own way and I was in my own head. And so finally, just doing different techniques, different things to try to help out with that. And with help of my friends and all the guys up there in Nashville that I'm buddies with that's helping me out with this. We recorded a song, got it done, and now we're working on the next song to get it done. And so I've got about 6 songs that I'm ready to put out. And I'm just glad that 2022 is going to be a full year for me. We're hopefully got some talks with some touring acts that doing some opening slots for them. So hopefully that'll work out and I can have the EP done in time to let them hear it so they can go, yeah, we'll let you come out.
I love that. Well, we only have a couple more minutes left because we've just been chatting all morning long. Do you want to play anything for me?
Yeah.
What do you got up your sleeve?
Yeah, here, hold on. Let me get this book out of the way that I got under my guitar.
Okay. Oh my God. Thank you. I had no idea that you got one.
My dad is 100% in his right ear, and he is 50% in his left ear, and so I've dealt with that my whole life. And it, so it's to support that. I love supporting people who do good things. So.
Well, that was so sweet. What a sweet surprise. Thank you for that. I'm so blessed that people keep buying it, and it's just, it was just a passion project, and the money does go back to support, buying hearing aids for those who can't afford them. So it's all this full circle because mine is how I'm listening to you. I have them in, and it's Bluetooth, so it's really nifty. But I love it. But thank you for that. Okay, so tell me what we're going to sing, and before we do that, I want to hear where you can find and follow on all of that information. Okay.
So Jeremy Noble Music here on Instagram and Facebook, and got a link to a website on the Facebook page that people can go to. I don't give it out much because it's such long, convoluted word, but jumble. And so I also host a radio show called Rock and Roll Basement Radio, and they can find that on here on Instagram and Facebook also. So
okay, cool. All right, well, let's hear it. What are we going to sing this morning? We got like 3 to 5 minutes.
This song's called No More, and okay. I was learning how to play Purple Rain and for a gig, and I wrote this song because of it.
You said no more.
I was like, no more. I got to write something original.
Okay, let's hear it.
I only know that I love you. I want you back at me. Ever since you walked across the floor, walked out the door, she left me. I can't sleep no more on a bed or on the floor. I drink away my pain, and I never see you no more. I go the same old places that you and me used to go. The bullet may not kill me, but the wound's still so sore. I can't take no more in a bed or on the floor. Drink away my pain, and I never see you no more. Purple rain keeps playing. It was your favorite song. I learned to play it for you now, but you're not here to hear it anymore. I can't sleep no more in a bed or on the floor. I smoke away my pain. I never see you no more. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, 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 no.
Great job.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, Jeremy, where our time is winding down because I got to do Good Morning America Kittens, but I want to say thank you, Gadsden's Own. And let me know when you're coming up here. You're performing up in Nashville. When again?
Tonight, I'll be at Cabana Taps tonight at 7 o'clock, and then Neighbors Sylvan Park next Tuesday at 9.
Next Tuesday.
Henley with me from The Voice Tuesday night.
Oh, very cool.
So it's going to be a fun event.
Well, cool. Well, Jeremy, I look forward to catching you. 9 o'clock's a little late
Yes.
for my bedtime, but maybe next time. You're a doll. I loved meeting you, and of course, keep working. Let me know when that EP drops, and I want to hear some more songs, okay?
I definitely will. Thank you,
All
Meaghan.
right. And thank you for buying my book. Oh, it just made my whole morning.
No problem.
All right. I'll see you next time.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. All right, guys, that was Jeremy Noble. Go give him a follow. Awesome dude, doing great things, big things. Going to be dropping an EP soon, and when he does, we'll get him back on and we'll play his music. Bye, guys. Have a great one.